Have you ever stopped to think about how much of an impact one single person can have on your life? Well, this is one of those stories. It's about a simple act of encouragement from a teacher that completely reshaped a student's future in ways nobody could have seen coming.
It really all boils down to this: one letter, one teacher, and a whole lifetime of greatness that followed. It's this incredible reminder that sometimes the smallest things we do can have the biggest, most lasting impact.
And our story starts right here, with this one simple blue envelope mailed way back in 1989. Now, on the outside, yeah, it's just a piece of mail. But what was inside, and more importantly, who sent it? Well, that's what kicked off an entire lifetime of achievement.
All right, so let's dive in. Let's go back to the very beginning, to the moment this envelope showed up and changed everything for one young boy. The letter was addressed to a 7th grader named Madan Raj Awasti. And for him, getting this letter in his remote village, it was a huge deal. You know, he remembers it so vividly that even today, 36 years later, he says that memory is as clear as day.
But to really understand why this letter was so powerful, you first have to understand the man who wrote it. His own journey, starting in a village called Mulkhatali, is just as incredible.
Meet Professor Dr. Gajaram Damai. His students remembered him for all sorts of things, like his beautiful, almost art-like handwriting, and for being just a relentless worker. But his real legacy was something bigger. They didn't just call him a teacher, they called him a future builder. He didn't just give lectures, he actively built better futures for his students.
And just look at the path he took. This wasn't just a career ladder. It was a journey across the entire country, against all odds. He started in a remote village, part of a marginalized Dalit family with basically zero resources. From there, he fought his way to the capital for his education. But here's the thing, he didn't stay there. He went even further out, to the remote city of Mahendranagar, to build his career and lead a whole campus.
And to really get the scale of his achievement, you have to understand where he came from. Sudurpaschim is one of Nepal's most remote and historically underserved regions. We're talking geographic isolation, limited opportunities, the whole 9 yards. For someone from there to become such a titan in science education is, well, it's just exceptional.
So, Dr. Damai didn't just rise above his own circumstances. He spent his entire life making sure others from his home region could do the same. And this is where he really made his mark. At Siddhanath Science Campus, he poured all that drive into one single mission: to build a powerhouse for science education right there in Sudurpaschim. And this number, this just says it all. Over his career, he mentored more than 1,000 students. Just think about that for a second. Many of them were the very first in their families to ever go to a university, often coming from the exact same kind of marginalized communities that he did.
He didn't just inspire individuals, though. He built the very infrastructure for their dreams. By getting these advanced degree programs up and running, he made sure that talented local kids didn't have to move hundreds of kilometers away to the capital to get a great education in science and tech.
But here's the thing, none of this came easy. In fact, every bit of this progress was a constant uphill battle against a system that just wasn't set up to support places like his. This right here gets to the heart of his struggle. He was basically operating in a country split in two. You had the Kathmandu Valley with all the resources, the political connections, everything. And then you had his campus, 800 kilometers away in Sudurpaschim, dealing with constant isolation and neglect. So you see, being campus chief wasn't just some cushy academic job. It was a daily fight. He had to fight tooth and nail for every single grant, protect the campus from political meddling, and somehow find ways to launch new programs with old labs, all while making sure tuition was low enough so local kids could actually afford to stay.
So when you look back at his life, what's the big takeaway? It really comes down to these 3 powerful ideas. First, his life is a textbook example of what it means to confront inequality head-on. Second, it's proof of the incredible power of one person's resilience to totally transform an institution. And finally, it's about building a legacy that made science a central part of his region's future.
And that brings us full circle, right back to where this whole incredible story started, with that single blue envelope. So, what was actually inside? It was these words, "You must become a good and great person. The world needs your light." So simple, so direct. It was more than just a nice message. It was a teacher telling his student, "I believe in you." He was saying that a kid from a tiny village had something important to offer the entire world.
And that's really the heart of it all. That letter wasn't just paper and ink. It was a catalyst. It was the spark that started a fire, proving that one person's belief in another can create these incredible ripples that shape futures for decades to come.
So as we finish, I guess it leaves us all with this one question. We've all had people in our lives who saw something in us, right? Who gave us that little push. This story is such a powerful tribute to all of them, and it really makes you stop and think, who was your Dr. Damai?